So in today's video, I'm going to be showing off the uniform for the most useless Waffen-SS unit in all of World War II history and reenacting, aka the British Free Corps. And I'm going to be honest, reenacting the Postman would be far more practical compared to reenacting the British Free Corps. However, I'm stupid, and we'll specifically be talking about the British Free Corps uniform in today's video and how I put it together. And I will also credit some sources for those of you who are interested in learning about the British Free Corps at the end of the video. So without further ado, let's dive into today's video. Before I start, I just want to clarify again, this is the most useless impression in all of reenacting, as the British Free Corps had, get this, less than 60 total members and less than 28 members at any given moment. And the unit was never engaged in combat, despite sources saying they were. Cough, cough, Wikipedia. And the closest they got to actual combat was when they were sent to help assist the Nordland Division at the end of the war. And after a few weeks with the Nordland Division, where they didn't see any combat whatsoever, they were sent to the rear to help evacuate civilians. And that was the closest they got to combat as a unit. But let's dive into the British Free Corps uniform I recreated. So I based this uniform specifically on this famous photo the two British Free Corps members, Kenneth Barry and Alfred mentioned. Although I chose to replicate Kenneth Barry's uniform as I like this standard brand new recruit look. And as I do when recreating any uniform, I start with checking photos and reading memoirs from the unit the uniform is based on, which are extremely scarce for this unit unfortunately, but after examining this photo and some other ones carefully, I made a few notes. Note 1, these guys are wearing M42 SS tunics and M43 SS trousers. And I should know, a lot of people get the M43 mixed up with the M42 tunic due to them being pretty much the same thing, with the main difference being the curved pockets on the M42. Note 2, the guys in the photos are wearing single button caps. The skull and eagle insignia on the cap are both on the front, and the button appears to be a pebbled one, which can be verified by two other photos of members of the unit. Note 3, these guys are clearly wearing ties and are wearing low boots without gaiters, and to make up for the gaiters, they are wearing their socks over their low boots. The final thing I unfortunately didn't take note of initially before I started making purchases was the shape of the Union Jack. Because of that mistake, I ended up having to spend another $20 to get one that was the proper shape. For reference, the one in the original photo shows the Union Jack to be more pointy, while the one I bought initially was more rounded. So after I made note of this stuff, I slowly started making purchases, and keep in mind I already had some of the uniform, notably the M43 trousers, a service shirt, a sleeve eagle, and low boots. The first purchase I made was from Military Harbor. I bought an M42 tunic, a pair of British Free Corps collar lion tabs, the British Free Corps cuff title, and the Union Jack, which was the wrong shape. And after 3 weeks my order shipped, and after another week my order arrived. Overall, everything was pretty good quality. My only issue is the buttons on the Military Harbor tunic, as they do need to be resewn if this is going to be a tunic you're going to use out in the field a lot, which is not the case for me luckily, but still I resewed the buttons. I then bought the correct Union Jack from the Soldier of Fortune website. Then after I was sure I got all the stuff for the tunic, I put the tunic on the mannequin and I measured out where I needed to put the insignia. Then after I got everything in place, I carefully sewed everything on. And at this point, I posted a teaser for the uniform on my channel. Then I made my final order, which was from SM Wholesale. These were the things I bought: the SS tie, the SS belt buckle, and most importantly, the cap, which I needed to replace the button on. Unfortunately, I had an issue. It took almost 2 months for them to ship order. And finally, after 5 phone calls and 6 emails, I finally got my order. And after sewing on the correct button, I could finally finish this kit. Here is the final product.
It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye, Piccadilly. Farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary.
Overall, this was a fun and unique impression, and I am happy with how well it came together. Although, as I stated earlier, this impression is useless, and I will never be able to use it at an event. And as I said earlier, here are some sources related to the British Free Corps for those of you who are interested in learning about them. The one I highly recommend checking out the most is the Brits Who Fought for Hitler documentary, which is free to watch on YouTube. And I also highly recommend reading Renegades by Adrian Veal, which is on the Internet Archive and is definitely a must-read when it comes to this unit. And the Jewish Virtual Library as well was a great source of information for this unit. And then there's the official British Free Corps memoir from the member, Eric Pleasance. However, it is important to note some of what he has said in this book has been disproven. So if you are to read this book, take what is said by Eric Pleasance with a huge grain of salt. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Have a good one.